Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Wang, and in this session, we're going to introduce the term
电脑
in Chinese, which translates to computer in English. In Chinese, we use
电脑
to refer to a computer because it can perform logical thinking and judgments, somewhat akin to the human brain. Moreover, it requires electricity to function, which is why it's called
电脑
Now, let's delve into the individual meanings of
电
and.
脑
In ancient China, people used the image of a lightning bolt to create the character for electricity. Later, people added the rain radical to the character. To make it easier to classify may be the reason. This way, all characters related to weather phenomena could be grouped together. The Chinese character for rain is also used in other Chinese characters related to weather phenomena, such as snow, cloud, and fog. We'll have a chance to learn more about these characters in the future. Today, we'll start by learning about the rain radical. In the earliest form of the character, you can see that ancient people imagined the sky as having three large water pipes, each pouring down water. As the character evolved, people connected the three water pipes to the sky. Then, they added the water drops from the position below the bottom of the pipes to the space between the three pipes, creating a square-shaped Chinese character. You can also see that some ancient people thought 3 or 4 raindrops weren't enough, so they drew a lot of raindrops. Others combined all of the raindrops into one character, shui, which means water, and it was placed between the two large water pipes. Eventually, the character evolved into its modern form, which retains the horizontal line at the top to represent the sky. The 3 branches of the water pipe are connected to the sky, and 4 raindrops are placed evenly on both spaces between the pipes. The pronunciation of "you" sounds similar to the second syllable of "do." We can image a rain is a "do" without "d" in Chinese. This is a creative and accurate way to describe the relationship between the pronunciation of "you" and "do." It is also a fun way to think about the meaning of the character "you," which is rain. Rain is often associated with freshness and new beginnings. Dew is also associated with freshness, as it is the water that forms on plants and other surfaces in the early morning. By comparing rain to dew without the "d," we are suggesting that rain is the essence of freshness and new beginnings. Now that you know the real-world history of the Chinese character for rain, you won't find it so complicated to remember or write. Let's practice writing the rain character now, which looks like 3 big water pipes coming down from the sky with 4 raindrops. To keep the character balanced and beautiful, start by writing the 2 side branches of the water pipe, and then write the main pipe in the middle.
雨雨雨雨雨雨雨雨雨
Now that we've learned about the character for rain, let's take a look at the character for electricity. The Chinese character for electricity
电
is not only used in the phrase
电脑
but also used in other Chinese characters related to electricity, such as light bulb and television. We will teach these phrases in the future. As we mentioned earlier, the main part of the character for electricity evolved from the lightning symbol in the Oracle bone script. We can clearly see 3 lightning bolts. The middle bolt goes from the sky to the ground, and 2 other bolts with 3 smaller segments each develop symmetrically on either side. The 2 bolts then converge in the middle to form a square-shaped U character. The middle bolt then pierces down through the ground and drags along, ending with a small hook pointing upwards. This hook is not actually a lightning bolt bouncing back up, because that would be physically impossible. Instead, it's a decorative feature. Similarly, for aesthetic reasons, the head of the lightning bolt is removed when it's combined with the rain radical. To write the character for electricity in traditional Chinese, first write the rain radical. Then, below the rain radical, write the U character formed by the 2 lightning bolts. Finally, in the middle of the U character, draw a lightning bolt that extends downwards to the right and ends with a small hook pointing upwards. The pronunciation of lightning in Chinese is diàn, which sounds similar to an English word, din. In order to help you remember the pronunciation of diàn, please remember diàn is a visual din of lightning in Chinese. It emphasizes the fact that the Chinese character for electricity looks like a lightning bolt. It also suggests that the character is more than just a symbol for electricity. It is also a visual representation of the power and energy of lightning. Let's practice writing this beautifully stylized traditional Chinese character for electricity.
电电电电 电电电电电电电电电
In simplified Chinese, the character for electricity has removed the rain radical. Because there is no obstruction from the rain radical above, the lightning stroke in the center is also exposed. Now, let's practice writing the simplified Chinese character for electricity.
电电电电电电
Now let's take a look at the character for brain. The left side of the character is something that looks like the moon radical, but it's actually the radical for meat. In the early days, before computers, Chinese teachers strictly required us not to write the meat radical as the moon radical. This is because the two horizontal lines in the moon radical are parallel, while the two dots in the meat radical are not. If we wrote it wrong, we wouldn't get any points. But now, with the diversity of computer fonts and the use of simplified characters in mainland China, it's hard to tell the difference between the moon radical and the meat radical. However, for smart learners like you, it's still best to keep the beautiful tradition of our writing system. When writing the meat radical, try to write two non-parallel dots, not two horizontal lines. As for when you're reading, if you see the two dots in the meat radical turned into two horizontal lines, don't point out that the character is wrong. After all, many people are used to it and don't care about the difference between two dots and two horizontal lines. The pronunciation of diànnǎo sounds similar to no. It is a basic function of the brain. There is a sentence accurately summarizes the relationship between the two concepts. The brain is the organ that enables us to know. The brain is the physical organ that is responsible for our cognitive abilities, including our ability to learn and remember information. Without the brain, we would not be able to know anything. The right side of the character for brain is a combination of two patterns. The person who created the character first drew 3 lines on top to represent the wrinkles on the brain. From this, you can tell that the character must have been created relatively recently, since people in ancient times didn't know that the brain has wrinkles. Next is the square block with a tuft of hair on the bottom, which represents the human head. The cross inside the square marks the location of the brain, which is the main subject of the character. So, when writing or reading the character for brain, you first write the meat radical. Then, you draw the 3 lines that represent the wrinkles on the brain. Next, you draw a stroke to represent the hair. Finally, you draw the square block from left to right and top to bottom, leaving out the bottom. Why don't you draw the bottom of the square block right away to complete the square? Because you need to put the cross inside the square first, and then you can draw the bottom horizontal stroke to enclose the brain in the skull. Do you remember the order now? Let's practice writing the character for brain.
脑脑脑脑脑脑脑脑脑脑脑脑脑脑脑
In simplified Chinese, the character for brain has removed the wrinkles on the brain, and the skull has been opened to reveal the internal cross mark. Now, let's practice the stroke order of the simplified Chinese character for brain.
脑脑脑脑脑脑脑脑脑脑
I want to give a big shout out to the learning program for stroke order of Chinese characters, supported by Taiwan's Ministry of Education, for their invaluable assistance. After you've gone through the stroke order practice, have you managed to commit the pronunciations, characters, and the stories behind these Chinese words to memory? So, there you have it, some enjoyable and memorable ways to learn Chinese pronunciations and characters using a creative method based on scaffolding learning theory. Thank you for tuning into this episode of our educational series. If you found our teaching approach helpful and enjoyable for your Chinese learning journey, please give us a thumbs up and show your support. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to receive more teaching episodes. Also, consider recommending our teaching videos to friends who might be interested in learning Chinese, helping them avoid the frustrations that can come with learning a new language. Your support and encouragement mean a lot to us. We'll catch you in the next episode.